Right then, welcome back. And today, we're going to do a cheeky little set video for this, the 2019 R1M. Now, before we go into the nuts and bones of it, previous R1s have been quite difficult. They have a lot of rear grip, which means they want to wheelie all the time, and it's quite hard to tune that out. So, I approached the R1M with a certain amount of trepidation, although I do like the purple wheels very much, very Cadbury's Boost Yamaha. They are meant to be blue. There's obviously a problem with the HDR formatting between my Xbox and my PC, but there's nothing I can do about that. But anyway, an R1M with purple wheels appeals very much, but I was concerned that it was going to be an absolute pig. So, what happened? Well, setup wise, normally I do a 2 and 8, so 2 front preload, 8 rear preload, 8 front suspension to the rest of the rear suspension. On this, I did it slightly differently. I did a 1 and a 6 and then a few other bits and bobs and mucked about and just thought I'll put it where I think it is, I'll run medium tyres and we'll see what happens. And somehow, I genuinely don't know how, I'm not complaining, I don't know how, somehow it was, I'm not going to say perfect, but it was the closest I've come yet to an R1 that actually works. It's not very fast with regards to top speed, hence why we're getting annihilated by everything down the straight. At UMC Outer, I went to UMC Outer just to see where the energy was going on the bike. I use it as my absolute go-to when I'm not quite sure what bike's going to do. And it became apparent very quickly that this R1 liked to move about a little bit, especially under power. When you were getting on the gas, it liked to steer from the rear. Loads of drive grips, standard R1, the way that it worked, just driving forward. What it didn't like was late braking. It didn't like to be hustled on the brakes. It liked the 250 GP line that I keep referring to. It just enjoyed a wide sweeping line, gentle on the gas, gentle on the brakes, and it was quick. It was also pretty stable. We played a bit of bumper cars. We missed a few braking points, but it wasn't as one-dimensional as other R1s. It actually would allow you a little bit of leeway if you made a bit of a mess of it. I mean, down the straights in the draft, the GSX R1000R was pulling 199. This is only pulling 195 at the very limit. The brakes, when you got the brakes right, the brakes were absolutely fantastic. There's a couple of other examples at other tracks where I've just hit the braking point perfectly. The back wheel's 3-4 inches off the deck and it just stops. Absolutely just pure sublime in the way that it does it. Last lap at UMC, down the straight, past a Ducati Street Fighter. Well, it's a naked, it's about as aerodynamic as a house brick. So we managed to get past. We missed the braking point. I went to max braking with the rear end in the air and I just thought I'd better let off, I'm going to crash. And we just ran those lovely wide lines again, wide on the way in, tight in the middle, and then a nice sweeping line on the way out, and we passed and we're through, and we never really looked back, and we ended up absolutely smashing them by a full second, which, to say it's down on top speed, I was quite happy with, because this track is, 35% straight. But yeah, no changes. Make any changes, medium tyres, front and rear, turn them both on. I thought, we're on. We're having a good time. So, where go after that? We went to Alton, went to Ireland. And this is where the shenanigans started. Because it's got such good drive grip off the start, you were just ploughing at the back of things, and the definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, and the result was exactly the same. Me falling off, drive grip out of here, last corner out of Lodge, and it's flicked us off the back. There's your wheelie problem. Missing braking points because of the way we've got the bike set up. We're running quite stiff springs front and rear, so it gets a bit glassy. I mean, it wasn't just me that was having problems. Completely missed this one and played skittles with a lot of the other riders. When we did get it right, because we did eventually get it right, there's a lot of me falling off in this one, by the way. When we did get it right, this bike, I haven't generally enjoyed the R1s. They're okay, they're usable. this thing was good. It wasn't setting mad fast times. We would have been 48th on the leaderboards with a lap time at UMC, and we would have gone 11th at Alton. And I quite like Alton. I seem to do quite well on the leaderboards, but 11th, inside the top 15, I'll take that. But look at the braking. Look at the braking. It's taking the absolute Michael out of everybody. Somehow we get it stopped, and then we get a decent bit of drive out the corner. Onto lap 2, run a little bit wider, and it just spins up a little bit, which means we just don't quite get the punch to get past that Ducati. But on the brakes, we go from 4th to 2nd quite convincingly, and then again we get the drive out the corner up the hill, and it just puts us in a nice place. Lap 3, same again. Look at the back wheel just hovering off the deck. We were probably about half a metre too late there, and we just ran a little bit wide. Doesn't matter, we've outbraked everyone. They're in the barriers or on the grass, and we ran away and through these corners, through Druids, onto the little back straight. Just look how stable it is. It's absolutely fantastic. You get it right, just a little dab of brakes, tip it in. It's a very, very usable bike. It does want a wheelie though. Anti-wheelie was on 2 all the time. If I turned it on 20-wheelie 1, we were off the back like we did out of Lodge Corner. So anti-wheelie 2, or you're pressing that rear brake a lot. So yeah, again, no changes. I thought, right, I want to go somewhere else where there's loads of corners. So I went to Valencia, and look at this for a finish. We nailed the landing. The judges gave us a 9.4, which was quite good. We might take up a side job as a gymnast and not. But again, off the start, mega, down the straight, dragged past pretty much everything, apart from the pole man, who again is on a Panigale, so we're not getting anywhere near that. And things were going alright. I did make a bit of a haberdashery of this. We were chasing the leader down. I got up into 2nd, but again, run the wide lines, don't be too heavy on the brakes, and she will do what you want. If you're offline, you've just got to accept the fact you're offline and not try and push it. Wide on the way in, tight on the way out, loads of drive, beautiful, underneath the Kawasaki. And the brakes again, through turn 7 on the brakes, look at it get out of shape, but it doesn't spit us off. And one thing I liked about this bike is if you did get it slightly wrong, it would move about, but it wouldn't spit you off. Last lap into turn 1, I mean, just beautiful. In, turn, drive, go. We missed the braking point at turn 2, it pushes us wide, and it was a spiral of disaster from this point onwards. I left a little bit of left pressure on the stick by mistake, and we run a bit wide into there through the gravel. We managed to get it stopped and not fall off somehow, and we ended up down in 5th, and we never got anywhere near them, despite trying my hardest. Into the chicane at turn 8, I just couldn't get anywhere near him. We ended up running through in 5th. Again, on the leaderboards, we would have gone 41st. So it's not the fastest thing in the world, but what it is an R1 that's usable. I did have a go on the time attack. I put a hard front, soft rear in. I mucked about with the physics as well. I went realistic for a bit for the joint braking to see if it did anything different and calm down the bike sliding, but it didn't. And we ended up 29th. So I thought, right, well, I've gone to a few places that I like. I've gone to a few places that are a bit twisty and nadgery. Let's go to Magny-Cours. The first attempt was an absolute washout. I like this track. I've done 142 laps of this track today for a 4-hour endurance race that I'm mucking about with at the minute. So yeah, I've spent quite a bit of time here, and the bike was slow. 163rd was the lap time that it would have done, and that's draft assisted as well. But again, the braking. The AI were on one as well while I was using this bike. I don't know if there's certain bikes that the AI get a little bit bolshy and like to target and be a bit aggressive, but this one, they were being absolute arses from start to finish. Again, brakes round the outside of Panigale, turn it in. It's just beautiful when you get it right. It's just absolutely fantastic. We did have a little off. There's no secrets between friends, and I just took the front going into the hairpin. But other than that, very small amount of penalty. We ended up 5, 6, 7 seconds in front, and the bike, it was just letting me treat it just not rough, just a little bit dirty. A few little naughty slaps here and there, and she was quite happy with that. She didn't mind as long as you didn't go too far. If you went too far, you were off, you were done, you were out the door. But yeah, again, no changes. Made no changes from the original setup that I stuck in. It just worked. I didn't want to change it. Felt good. I didn't want to go chasing my tail. So, next up, Kylami. Now, that's just not fair. That is just not fair whatsoever. I don't like going around the outside of people at Kylami, and then I went wide and got on the grass and it spat me off, and then I took the front and it just went on and on and on. Then into turn 1 again, bang, there you go, cheers mate. Didn't even flinch, the Panigale didn't even flinch. Then I run into the back of someone, then get a nudge from behind and we're off, and then we're going into turn 5 and we're off again, and we're in the gravel and we're doing God knows what. And then I took the front again into turn 6, that's twice I've done that. And then out of the top of the hill we get on the grass and we spit off, and it was just turn 1 I go from right to left and collect everybody and play Skittles. But yeah, it was getting frustrating. Normally the races are quite clean, but for some reason this R1 was just attracting a lot of attention. When we eventually got it right, again we go from 20th to 9th in the initial launch, all the way down the outside, very, very nervous. There's a little bit of carnage happens in front of us. Somehow we miss it. We get a tiny kiss off that. I think it was a BMW sliding through from left to right on the screen. But yeah, it was just one of them races where the elbows were properly out. We get a good drive out of there, but we run wide. We learn our lesson though, because we let the gas off. And we end up 4th, top of the hill, turn 8, down the hill towards turn 9, the really fast left-hander. We get past 1, and guess what? We go right around the outside of another. Go on, get that right up you. Get on the brakes. He thinks about coming back at us, but he tries to be clever and lets the brake off and runs at the side of us. So we went from 4th to 2nd, back to 3rd again. That 250 line, wide on the way in, drive on the way out, up to 2nd, and then we're chasing down Ben Wilson, the South African, in South Africa. I thought I was going to get him up here. Watch this for braking as well. I just tapped the brakes at the perfect time and we just get the back wheel off the deck. The brakes, I cannot profess enough how good the brakes were on this motorcycle. And I thought this was going to be a really good race, and then there was just a little touch there and he ended up down the dirt. And I was going to restart it, but I thought, no, there's no point. But yeah, Kylami, I wasn't going to put any of the races out, any of the replays, but I might put a couple out. I might put the Valencia one, and I might do Kylami, we'll see. But yeah, I was really starting to enjoy this bike. You could possibly knock the spring rates down 1 because the tyres are green rather than like a dark green or yellow, so there's probably a little bit of feel in there. I know, come on. I apologise, my cat wants to be in this video. Hello. But yeah, do you like the R1, do you? Good, well done. Shame you can't ride one. But yeah, really, really, really good bike. Enjoyed it. So, one last question then. Will it boogie? No, it will not. What it will do is crash at every available opportunity. It will smash you into the barriers. It will pulverise you. It will spin the back wheel up and then grip and flick you off faster than probably any other motorcycle that I've ridden round Canto South in the wet. The AI were just absolutely on it from start to finish. Little taps and touches here. He's off, I'm off, they're off, we're off, everybody's off. I'm in the barrier, the bike's doing what it wants. It was just carnage, and it was just starting it again. And I mean, wow, we nearly got squashed head then. It was starting again and again and again and again and again and again, and it was just getting a bit tedious. But again, when we got it right, we fired it off the line. There was a little bit of dodgems at the start. We did manage to force our way through. There was a little bit of shoving and what they call it in Aussie supercars, a little bit of hip and shoulder and people flying about. But we got up to 10th. It wasn't about going past everything initially. I wanted to see how the bike would drive in the wet conditions, because what works in the dry sometimes doesn't work in the wet. If the setup's right, then it'll work in the wet with the wet tyres as well. So yeah, it was just a case of seeing what it would do, avoid the walls and everything else, and just try and get a little bit of a boogie out of the bike to see whether she wanted to dance. But she didn't. No matter how much I tried and what I did, you got on the gas, and what it did is it snapped sideways, gripped, and like I said, then it just wheelied. The brakes were on a different planet. I felt like I could outbrake anything into turn 9, absolutely anything, and the temptation to just send Hail Marys up the inside, oh dear me, sorry, to send Hail Marys up the inside and just try and outbrake everything. I mean, into turn 1, the AI are normally all over me there. I don't normally get past much, but yeah, we managed to do it. So we're up to second, start lap 2, and I thought, I'll just put a bit of pressure on and see if I can get... Is that Finish? The Finish rider? I think it's Finish, isn't it? I can get the Finish rider to make a mistake. He headbutts the barrier, vanishes into the fence, and that was the end of that. It will slide, but watch how quickly it snaps back into line. It goes and then comes straight back again, goes and then comes straight back again. It did carry a bit of wheel spin up through the last sort of like quarter, last third of the turn, but I couldn't get it sideways. It would just spit me off. I mean, it's carrying a bit of wheel spin there, but that was about it. But yeah, of the R1 so far, this one has been the best. There's the setup. It is a little bit weird. It's very R1-y in what it does. Yeah, give it a go. I know a couple of people have used the R1s that I've done in the past and you've quite liked them, so I think this is the best one so far. Pros: mega on the brakes, as long as you don't miss the braking point. That's what the 2 asterisks are saying. Don't miss the braking point and don't be too aggressive. And it's awesome on the brakes. High corner speed, get the braking point right, tip it in, corner speed, absolutely awesome. And it's got mega rear traction. Again, get the bike stood up. Don't try and slide it about too much. If you slide it about, it just goes sideways rather than forwards. Cons: it won't be hustled, as per all of the above. Low top speed, not great. The GSX-R 1000R wasn't very fast. This is even slower, and it's got a slow yaw rate. So going from maximum lean left to maximum lean right, it doesn't like to turn very fast because the rear preload is on 5 and the front preload is on 1, which means the responsiveness of the bike is quite slow. But if you like it, you like it. If you get on with it, you'll get on with it. It's not a BMW S1000RR, it's not a ZX-10, it's not a Blade, it doesn't handle the same. It is fast in other ways. But yeah, there you go, that's it. Give it a go, let me know what you think. What's up next? It is the 1985 GSX-R at Sugo. That's the next endurance race, and then we'll do the associated 1985 GSX-R 750 road bike as well. So that's coming up. So don't go and leave me a comment, like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Plenty more, and fingers crossed I will see you next time. Take care, stay safe, peace.